The latest generation of smartphones today have a lot to offer, specifically when we take a look at the incredible camera capabilities of each of the latest generation smartphones. It's pretty remarkable to see how far we've come across in mobile phone technology when it comes to cameras. But specifically in this video, we're going to take a look at the top smartphones of 2014's camera capabilities and see which one rises to the top. So this is great if you're interested in looking at which camera of the smartphone that you may be interested does compared to another given smartphone. So without any further ado, let's get right into this video. So just to let everyone know before we begin this video that this video was uploaded in full 4K, so make sure you have that 4K setting enabled on the YouTube player. And if you don't have a 4K monitor or a monitor that is higher than 1080p, don't worry, you can also view 4K if you have a 1080p monitor or a little bit lower. You're just going to have a little bit of a harder time trying to decipher the differences between all the different 4K images versus the 1080p images. But the photos will look really good, and it's just good to have that full 4K setting because that'll give you the best bandwidth and the most throughput in terms of data. So it makes it easier for you to decipher the differences between all these different cameras. So we're just going to briefly mention the camera specifications of all the smartphones so you know where we're at in terms of specs. Looking at the iPhone 5S, it has an 8 megapixel sensor and it can do 1080p at 30 frames per second as well as 120 frames per second at 720p. Now the Nexus 5 can do pretty much the same resolution in terms of videos and stills, but it does not have a slow motion mode at 720p. The HTC One M8 is quite different from all the rest of the cameras. It only has a 6 megapixel sensor, but the cool thing is ultra pixel technology, which should give us better low light performance. Now all of the rest of the cameras can all do 4K at 30 frames per second video, as well as doing 120 frames per second at 720p. They're all a little bit different in terms of megapixel count. The Sony is rated the highest megapixel at around 20.7, and the Samsung is not far behind at around 60 megapixels. And lastly, the LG G Pro 2 and the Oppo Find 7a both have the capabilities of shooting stills at 13 megapixels. So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the stills and video functionality of all these cameras, and we're going to look at the same scene on all the different cameras so you have a good kind of side-by-side comparison, and therefore you can determine by yourself whichever camera looks best to your eyes. Now, to my eyes, I think a lot of these phones are quite similar, and there's a lot of overlapping features on how they reproduce information and color in all these images in terms of stills and video. In terms of the stills themselves, I do have to say that the Samsung Galaxy S5 has the best in terms of overall color rendition and kind of clean images, but in terms of the sharpness and detail, the Sony Xperia Z2 definitely outshines all the rest. Additionally, when we take a look at the video capabilities, I also like the Z2's performance. It really renders colors and motion very, very nicely in terms of the 4K video, and just the insane level of clarity is pretty amazing. Its exposure and overall camera stabilization features are also very good. It really reminds me of a high-end Sony 4K camcorder. That's the amount of video quality that you get. I'm very impressed with the Z2. The others are definitely not bad, and very similar when we take a look at the LG G Pro and the Oppo and even the Samsung Galaxy S5. They're all fairly similar in terms of the video capabilities. I just think that the Sony just has some couple of features that makes its image kind of stand out a little bit to my eyes. Now, the other phones that do not have the 4K capabilities or have the lower resolution stills are definitely not bad. When it comes to the HTC One, I think the ultra pixel technology is definitely helpful for seeing more information in darker areas, although you do still get a lot of noise in darker places, so it doesn't really do too much in terms of eliminating noise. Obviously, you can do some stuff in software, but it's still not bad in terms of a low light camera, but it's something certainly I wouldn't put at the top of any list in terms of smartphone cameras. Additionally, I really do like the Oppo Find 7A's camera. I think it delivers some really nice overall colors, both in terms of stills and video, and it's a very fully packed smartphone. It has all the capabilities of all these top tier smartphones, and it's certainly not a disappointing phone for anybody looking to get a full complete package. The iPhone 5S is certainly not a bad camera at all. It's lacking in terms of the 4K capabilities and the higher resolution stills, which we'll probably see in a refresh of the newer updated iPhone 6. But if I had to choose which one I least liked, I would have to definitely say that the Nexus 5 is certainly not as good as the others. Even in terms of the 1080p capabilities of the video, it's certainly not up there with the iPhone 5S, just in terms of the overall clarity, and you get a lot of noise, I find, with the Nexus 5, both in terms of the video and stills, so it's definitely the lowest performing when it comes to my experience. But other than that, guys, that's really it. If you have any questions at all, please make sure to leave that on a comment down below. I would also love to hear your thoughts on which camera looks best to your eyes. Everybody has a different preference in terms of different styles of cameras and how they look and the feature set. We really focused on the overall image quality and hopefully give you a little bit of insight on how the cameras perform, especially against each other. Make sure to check out the description below where you'll find all the links on the smartphones that we tested out, and check out our YouTube channel, Majid Sayed, too, if you haven't already. We've actually done a detailed comparison of each phone, relying on all the different aspects of a modern day smartphone to see which one kind of rises to the top. So make sure to check out that video at the end of this video, but we'll see you later. Take care. Thanks for watching.